Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion. We're in heaven. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and we're in heaven. Just have to watch little G doesn't go on the ice. I think it's like solid, but like who knows. So today in this gorgeousness, we got about a foot of pow pow. Definite quick ski. A little bit later, a few hours, and yeah, it's heaven here. It's heaven here. While I'm getting all my creative thinking done, it's just so fluid today because winter's my favorite. Although I have to tell you, the inspiration faucet's running all the time, if I'm honest, okay? And I am honest. I'm not waterflies at all. So anyway, it's just flowing through me. So what I wanted to talk about today, little G, you just have to stay off the pond, G, okay? Is really embracing the contrast. And this came in my head. I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks, and I just listen to so many people and read voraciously and everything like that. But this is one that's been on my mind anyway, because, I mean, there's really there's no way to fully dodge contrast, right? There just isn't. And so, because we weren't put on this earth to just, coast and because there would be no personal growth. I mean, the whole point of being on this planet is to learn how to love ourselves and other people. Like, that's it, right? I think we all know that. Basically, we sometimes forget, I think, myself included, when we get wrapped up in the gerbil wheel of, busy-dashness and all like that. But obviously contrast happens, and it can be big, huge life stuff, but it doesn't have to be. It can be the workplace thing where somebody snags a promotion out from under you, or somebody does some kind of manipulative something, and it doesn't give them a pass. We are not saying that. We're also not saying it's not worthy of a conversation. Although here's the thing, and this is at least what I do anyway. It's definitely a tough sell when you're in it, or like it just happened. It's just because like somebody legit just did a conniving something that was based in self-interest only with no care or concern to anyone else. That's hard. It doesn't feel good. It feels violating. It feels like somebody kind of climbed into your rib cage, especially if you've authentically done all the work for said project. And that's just one example, right? And it can be really hard. And here's the thing, though, I've learned in my fabulous 58 years is that it helps me to kind of take control of that. Again, tough sell when you're in it, but just breathe a little bit and then get to this place. And also, I have to do a little disclaimer, because what we're not talking about, he's got snow dog face. I think he thinks there's pheasants under there, and they really could be. Who knows? We're not talking about what some people would term as toxic positivity, which, basically means to just dismiss all negative emotion and just, like throw a bunch of beautiful snow like this on top of it and pretend to make it go away, which honestly in this beautiful environment is very tempting. But we don't want to dismiss negative emotion. We just don't want to reside there. There's a whole difference. So-and-so snags a promotion out from under you. So-and-so, takes the lead on some project, gets all the kudos. So-and-so, pick whatever your workplace is or home environment, or, you're good somebody in your friends group, pulled a fast one with, planning the birthday for somebody that you're really closer to, and it just feels like a power move or whatever. There's all kinds of little shit that just bothers us, right? And so to really acknowledge it, not dismiss it, acknowledge it, that was kind of crappy. And maybe it's worthy of a conversation. If it's so petty, then probably not, because giving it energy just makes it bigger, like a snowball. It's going to be a lot of my analogies today. And so you can choose to be quietly effective when it's super petty. Again, it doesn't mean the person gets a pass. It doesn't mean they weren't wrong. It doesn't mean they weren't hurtful. It doesn't mean any of that. Though being quietly effective, as long as you're not trying to trick your brain into thinking you don't care, because the brain's going to say you're full of it, you do care. Okay, and maybe to go talk to somebody about it and get it out, but to not reside there. That's the whole thing, because, and this is just what I do, because it helps me to sort of gain my own agency back, right? Because anxiety comes from not feeling like we have control, and then we get into fear-based thinking. What if she keeps doing this, and what if I end up, at work and I don't end up not getting this, or end up being dismissed, or who knows? So we stop all that what if thinking and take control back. And so the contrast, at least for me, because I had something happen a few years ago where it just was surprising. It wasn't a huge something. It was just like a something, like somebody just was not are presented differently as they really were underneath, and threw me a little bit, because I trust people and whatever. But when I look back later, because again, it's a tough sell in the moment, that person, she was a part of the story of it. She was a part of the whole unfolding and it was a small situation. It's not a gigantic story, but I ended up really growing and springboarding from it, emotionally, and really, and it wasn't immediate because I was like, I can't believe that. I thought she was, just so different, but that's when we take hold of that and we realize, this is my big one. You ready for this one-liner? Which isn't mine. I don't know where it came from, actually. But life doesn't happen to us. We can get very wrapped up in that. Like, how could this happen to me? How could she have done that? How could she have, gotten on the best side of the boss, and I was the one, her number one, and how could she do this? How could she do that? The friends group. Instead of how life happening to us, life actually happens for us. And I know for me, when I kind of want to say it's Wayne Dyer, but I don't know that it is. Doesn't matter, because the point's been made. So because one-liners really stick with me sometimes. You know that feeling of like light bulb, like it's not just the light bulb. The light bulb feels more cognitive, and was cognitive, but I felt it more here. I felt it like spiritually, and I really made a shift with that particular sort of annoying situation. Said, you know what, you're right. Didn't happen, even though she gets no pass. She was kind of manipulating and just wasn't a really good situation. Again, not huge, but just kind of petty and stupid. And people are coming from their own place. We've talked about that. And life happens for us. And so lots and lots of personal growth came out of that particular situation. And just mentally taking command of my own ship, which I already knew anyway. Sometimes we need to be retaught. Sometimes we need the quiz again. Life throws us quizzes constantly, until we pass finally. Then we keep learning them. And I just had an aha moment right now. Not an aha moment, inspiration moment. That's sort of a little bit different. Mr. Serco, my physics teacher in high school, I loved him, and I ended up loving physics because of him. It was not that I had a huge draw to physics. He was just amazing. So my metaphor for this, or analogy, is his physics quizzes. They were out of 10 points. I don't believe he did. My memory is he didn't do any big tests. They were just quizzes for every unit that we did, which is a great way to teach, because it's, the immediate assessing of the immediate what you just learned. I mean, it's a great way to do it, especially for the hard sciences, I think. And his deal was, you could take the quiz as many times for whatever unit, no cap. You could take it literally 155 times if you wanted to take each one. Each one's a little different, same content, but moved around a little bit. And he would keep the next highest grade. No averaging, nothing. So, I mean, think of how motivating that was to really get the information. That man was a genius. I love that guy. He had like black horn rim glasses, like straight out of the 50s. It was actually the 70s, but no, actually it was the 80s. Sorry. I'm older, but not that older. 80s, like the early 80s. But he looked very 50s, like the white shirt, the black pants. Anyway, just get the picture. Science guy. And he was the best. So think of that with life. It's not that different. The quizzes keep coming, and we keep getting the better grade and the better grade and the better grade. But until we ace the test of whatever the lesson is, whether it's self-reliance, self-assurance, self-acceptance, self-love, knowing our own value, pick the quiz, being forgiving, letting all of it, it keeps coming back, not personalizing things. And so I was like, wow, because I had the quiz before, and I'm thinking, okay, I know this, but man, I didn't know it solid enough, because there was the lesson right again, to realize that we are the captain of our own ships. And even though we cannot necessarily change what's going on the outside, we can absolutely change how we look at it. And this is Wayne Dyer actually coming. He says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. That is absolutely true. So that one snarky somebody who was, mildly annoying and manipulating, just kind of threw a wrench in my short-term, moment there. Really, I began to look at, now I'm not saying that she got a pass again, and I'm not saying I'd want to go through it, but man, I ended up being grateful. And that might sound to you like, are you nuts? I'm not saying like, she still did a snarky, annoying, manipulating thing. And I'm grateful for the growth and the insight and the clarity. Clarity is the word I'm looking for. Isn't that ironic? I'm looking up at like it just happened right there in this minute on this video. I got so much clarity, like, wow. It just pointed me in a whole different direction with that particular situation that was going on, which was so much better for me. In the moment, it seemed like, confusion, cloudiness. And then once I sort of figured out this was meant to happen, this was meant to unfold in this way, it was a good thing, and I'm still, even though it was a long time ago, years ago, I'm still so grateful that that pointed me in a new direction that's very much a part of where I am now, actually. So if that didn't, that little situation didn't happen, I wouldn't be in exactly the same. It wasn't monumental. I don't want to make it that huge, but it did shift me into another position, another sort of direction that, just like we say, like with karma, cause and effect, right? So it's like dominoes. So, and it's dominoes going all different directions. When you make this choice, or think of a tree with branches, that's even better for here, right? When you go off on a certain branch, then your choices are all the other little branches on that, off that one branch, and the rest of the branches aren't part of your trajectory anymore, right? Those are now your choices. The bigger branch, let's go over here, like this. So you see the branch like that, and all those little branches are now the choices you have to pick from, not the rest of them, like up there. And so that's what happened to me, and all the new choices, new people, everything just really worked out. And so that's really what I've been motivated to talk about today, is to embrace the contrast. It's all part of how it's meant to unfold. So it's kind of like the connect the dots thing, or the dominoes. When we look back in our lives, right, we look back at how things happened, even though, especially if you're a fabulous 58, you've been around the block a few times, right? When we look back, even there's some pain, there's obviously lots of good stuff, like a lasagna noodle, right? Good stuff, issues, good stuff, something happens, good stuff, And we look back, and it's for however it all worked out, the dots connected. So if we can have that trust and faith in the process, I call it God, you don't have to, universe, source, higher power, whatever, trust that it's all going to unfold the way it's meant to unfold. And without the contrast, we don't grow. It sucks when we're in it. I'm not saying that, but we don't grow, and that's the whole point, is growth. Imagine how boring and drab if we just coasted along without the meaning piece, like that deep spiritual meaning and purpose that comes out of the rough stuff. It would just not, they would just take all the spice and the seasoning out of life, and we get closer to people when stuff happens. We become more empathetic when stuff happens. We become better people and more joyful and just happier, and it's just it's just a great thing, and we realize the connection we have to something bigger than ourselves, and it's just all good. So there we go. Embrace the contrast. I'm going to say, not be grateful for the snarkies, but be grateful for the growth that comes out of these unfavorable situations, because has a lot to do with the bricks to kind of build who we are. And that's it. It was so natural. It felt awesome. This is Kimberly Quinn and little Giovanni, signing off from heaven in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.